Evening, everyone. My name is Sebukale Kgetho, and today we are gathered to listen to a story told by none other than Reggie Musonza. Now, Reggie is a practice lead, coach, and trainer in business analysis, currently serving as a board member for the IIBASA, to which we are very grateful for. We are thankful for your service. And he's also passionate about professional development, sharing knowledge and experience. So Lesego, if we could just move to the next slide to present the house rules. Thank you. So on the slide, we can see the house rules. So you will be allocated to a presentation room if applicable. Each presentation will be 45 minutes long. You may post your questions in the main chat. We will read them to the presenter when it is time for the Q&A, and presentations will be uploaded on the IIBASA YouTube page found at that link right there. Unfortunately, we do not send out the presentation deck to individuals. And also, to become a member of the IIBA South Africa, you can go to the following link, and our email address for the Johannesburg branch is also attached below. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the presentation. So without further ado, over to you, Reggie.
Great, thanks a lot, Seboha. Okay, great. I'm just gonna present my slide here. Okay, just a second. Right. Go to present. Okay, just a second. All right, I hope you'll be able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Reggie, we can see.
Okay. Don't know why I'm having a challenge putting it in presenter mode. Probably have to unshare. Okay. Let me stop the share, sorry for that. There's no one else who's sharing something, hey?
No, Reggie. No, Reggie, there's no one else.
Okay, great. Because I'm trying to share my slide and okay, let me stop the share. Sorry, guys.
Reggie, I think in the meantime, while we sort out the slides issue, you can just get started.
Okay, I might have to do it without having to use the presenter mode. I don't know why I'm having this challenge, but I'm hoping everyone can actually see what I'm trying to present here. Hey, great. So we're going to be talking about business analysis, competencies for success. What makes you to be a competent business analyst? All right, that's what our focus is going to be. And what we want to take out of this, or if there's anything that you need to take out of this, is getting to understand how can you change, or how can you be more successful by changes in your personality, changes in your behaviors as a business analyst. That's the greatest takeaway that I would want everyone to get out of this, right? So moving on, this is going to work. I don't know if it's my PowerPoint or if it's, sorry guys, I just have to stop here a bit. Okay, I think I just need a minute to sort this out, and then I will be right back. Sorry for this.
All right, Reggie, not a problem. Let's just give Reggie a brief moment.
Okay, sorry for that, guys. I think I'm back. If you can just turn on my video or make a co-host, head of you guys, please. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, Reggie, we can.
Okay, if you can just turn on. Okay, great. Thanks. I think now it should work. Okay. Great. Awesome. Sorry, it was a gremlin on my laptop. All right, great. But everyone can hear me now, right? So the biggest thing that we want to take out is how can we be competent as business analysts by our changes in behavior and our approach even in changes in personality. Okay, that's the greatest take that we want to take out of this chart, right? So to start off with, I've got this quote from Lao Tzu that I like a lot. It says, if you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading, right? Whether you're in the right direction or you're in the wrong direction, you may just end up where you're heading if you do not change. So if you are doing the right things, you don't have to change. You might just get where you're heading. But if some certain personalities or behaviors need to be changed, okay, you can only be successful if you make those necessary changes. So that's something that we can take out of this discussion we're having tonight. So just a bit about me. So I'm Reggie Musonza. I'm a certified business analysis professional. I'm a business analysis coach and trainer. I'm passionate about it. Currently serving as a board member in the IIBA South Africa chapter. And I'm a practice lead in business analysis. So I look after business analysis consultant practitioners in the practice that I'm involved in. And I'm passionate about sharing my knowledge and my experiences in business analysis. I've spoken at some conferences, and I've also speak in thought leadership conferences as well. I'm an avid golfer, so I play golf very often. So today I'm looking forward to watching the Masters. And I'm a road cyclist, so I like cycling, and I like, if I'm not on the bike, if I'm not on the course, I enjoy running as well on the road. All right, so that's just a bit about me. Okay, so getting into it straight up. I always like to start any discussion around business analysis by setting the tone, the precedents, to say, what is business analysis? Because a lot of people get to be asked by, be it relatives, be it friends, if you say you are a business analyst, what is business analysis? And a lot of people do struggle to answer that question, right? People will tell you, no, we are a bridge between IT and business, or we are people who solve business problems, or we look at technology to whatever the response that they make. Okay. But according to the BA book, all right, or the business analysis body of knowledge, business analysis is a practice of enabling change in an enterprise. How do we do that? It's by defining the needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to our stakeholders and in a given context. So whatever stakeholders perceive or deem as value, right, it is what we need to deliver on. Okay. Business analysis is practiced in 3 types of initiatives. So it could be at a strategic level, right? Or it could be at a tactical level, or it could be at an operational level, right? Those are the only, if ever, 3 initiatives that business analysis is practiced in. But talking about those 3 practices, those 3 initiatives, changes can be enabled there, needs can be identified, solutions can be provided, value can be delivered to whatever stakeholders. And obviously, we are not there to be solving world problems, but we do everything in a given context. All right. So then what is a business analyst? According to that definition, it's anyone who performs those same business analysis activities of enabling value, enabling change, understanding value, stakeholder value, doing things in a context, by using business analysis information that they would have discovered. And when you go on a journey of discovery, you get so much information around the problem that you're trying to address. And once you've got all that information, you then get to a point where you have to sift through that information, a whole lot of chaff, and see what is actually relevant, what is necessary for us to solve the problem that we've got at hand. And that's through synthesis, right? And then obviously you get to a point where you need to be analyzing the synthesized information, okay, or the relevant information, and presenting it in different forms for our stakeholders to understand from whatever viewpoint they are coming from, be it a data perspective, be it a process perspective, be it a business architecture perspective, in a model that they get to understand the information at hand, right? So what are the type of activities that a business analyst does? is understanding enterprise goals and problems, is analyzing needs and solutions, devising strategies, driving change, facilitating stakeholder collaboration, which is one of the biggest things that business analysts do. We have to be facilitating stakeholder collaboration, right, and driving those changes. Okay. So as you can see, there's not much about documenting requirements, scribing requirements, minute taking, and all that, because those are not business analysts' activities. But if you are documenting those changes for you to facilitate some collaboration, for you to analyze needs and solutions, yes, then you are performing business analysis activities, and you are actually a business analyst. So having set that tone, now let's get into what are the competencies that make a business analyst to be successful. All right. So firstly, as a business analyst, how do you understand how business works? Do you understand how business works? Do you have that business acumen, right? If you're working in an enterprise or in an organization, right, what are the business practices that your business is involved in, right? Do you understand business risk? Okay, the risks that a business has to go through. Do you understand opportunities that your organization can take advantage of? Do you understand problems that your organization has, right? And with problems, we're talking about two things. It's either it's challenges that an organization is going through that need to be addressed. Okay, so maybe there's a huge customer churn. So the number of customers that we are acquiring, we might be acquiring a lot of customers, but we are losing a lot of customers as well. What is causing that? Okay. Or it could be an opportunity. A problem could be an opportunity to say, here's an opportunity. Can we maximize on that opportunity? Okay. Maybe we've developed a great product. Okay. How do we maximize on that product to get more customers, to increase revenue, to increase profits in the business? So get to understand, you need to be having a business acumen. In whatever industry you're working in, do you have that industry knowledge, right? So I've worked a lot in financial services, all right? So in the financial services industry, could be banking. Let's take, for example, banking, because everyone, I assume here, has got a bank account. Do you understand the types of services that the industry you're working in or you're involved in has got? What are the type of products that are there? Okay, what are the trends in that market? Okay, in that industry, what are the market drivers? What drives that market, or to make it make money or whatever? Okay, what are the customer segments that you are looking at in your business is? Your industry is involved in. Is it, if it's private banking, you're obviously looking at people in the higher LSMs, right? If it's just your normal commercial personal banking, okay, you're looking at probably people in the middle LSMs or in the lower LSMs, okay? So get to understand those types of customer segments, all right? What are the regulations? Who regulates this industry? Okay, so in the financial services industry, you've got the Financial Services Authority, FSA, you've got the Reserve Bank of South Africa. You need to be understanding what are the types of regulations that are there. Okay, so we're talking about, in financial services, anti-money laundering regulation, or we could be talking about deposit thresholds, limits, and the like. Okay, that's what we're trying to address. If it's in the telecoms industry, we could be talking about ICASA that regulates, okay, products and services that come into that industry. So do you get to understand the industry knowledge, right? Okay, then within the organization that you're working in, get to understand the structure of that business. Have you got an organogram of that business? How do the business units come together? How do they interact? Okay, the lingo that is in that in your organization, the terminology that you get to use in your organization, do you understand it? Right? Because when someone gets to mention something, you need to be understanding it in the context of your organization. So that's organizational knowledge that you obviously need to build on. Then another thing we could look at is solution knowledge, right? In the industry that you are in, who are the suppliers of that industry? what are the industry solutions that are currently there? Because remember, in any given industry, you do have competitors. Your competitors, you've got more or less the same problems that you have. What are the types of solutions that your competitors have implemented? Okay, can you leverage off those existing solutions? Can you leverage off the suppliers that your competitors have used? Okay, so knowing industry suppliers, knowing industry solutions will help you to understand how your business actually works, right? And what are the types of common solutions that are there, okay, within your industry for whatever problem that your industry gets to face? Because your organization obviously belongs to an industry, and there are already suppliers, there are already solutions, there are already common solutions that maybe even your competitors are using. Another thing that you could look at is, or rather that you need to look at, is methodology knowledge, right? How mature is the methodology or the practices that your organization is using, right? It could be that they are on an adaptive approach or adaptive practice, so that is agile. How mature is the agility in that organization? How quickly do you get to respond to needs? How do those practices, how is everything practiced, or how does it all come together in your organization? Because it puts you in good stead to say, if you understand that methodology quite well, let's say if it's Scrum, if you understand it quite well, how best can your organization, or how can you assist your organization to leverage off the knowledge that you have, and what are the types of improvement that needs to be made in the methodology that you're using, right? Also get to understand the risk appetite of your organization. Are they risk averse? Are they risk seeking? So obviously, if they are risk averse, you're probably going to be on this predictive methodology, or you're going to be on this what some people term traditional or waterfall, right? But if they are risk seeking, probably a young organization and the like, it's going to be risk, it will have a risk appetite to, or there could be risk seeking, right? So maybe adaptive methodologies is something that they would want to adapt. Okay, how can you help your organization using in those methodologies, using your knowledge? The types of tools that you use. There's a lot of collaborative tools that are in use right now. The likes of your Jiras, your Azure DevOps, your Confluences and the like, right? Do you have a good knowledge of how those tools are being used in your organization? And how can your organization leverage off the use of those tools, even if they are not using them, right? And the roles that are played within the methodology that you're using. Do you understand what a Scrum Master does? Or how different is a Scrum Master from a project manager? Okay. Or what does a development team does? Right? Who are the product owners? Is there a product owner? Is there a sponsor? Right? What are the type of roles that are there in the organization? Because the moment you get to understand those things, right, you can aid or help your organization to achieve better, to make certain changes to the methodologies or knowledge that they have or that they're using. Okay, so that's getting to understand how your business works. Get to have that business acumen. This is something that you can develop over time, right? The industry knowledge. You need to immerse yourself in understanding the industry. Your organization at large gets to understand the ins and outs of your organization, right? And the types of solutions that are out there, right? And obviously the methodologies that you're going to be working with. Let's talk about some behavioral competencies, right? Ethics. How do you behave? Do you behave ethically? Because by behaving ethically, you tend to gain your stakeholder confidence, because they know that dealing with this person or this business analyst, they are ethical in their approach, right? Your personal accountability as well. How do you get to gain credibility? It's by completing tasks and meeting expectations as you would have promised to your stakeholders, and taking accountability about what you would have promised. Okay, because you want to gain that confidence that your stakeholders have in you. So personal accountability means a great deal to our stakeholders in the delivery of our services. All right. How trustworthy are you? in eliciting sensitive issues. Because as a business analyst, we at times you can be very much privileged to be working with very sensitive data. It could be data about people, right? It could be financial or financial worthiness of prominent people. But when you get to work with that sensitive data, it's not something that you just go at a braai or at a chisanyama and you start talking about such things, right? You need to be a trustworthy person, because if you're dealing with sensitive issues, you need to make sure that you handle those issues sensitively, okay, with the sensitivity that they deserve. Your organizational and time management skills, it also touches on personal accountability, because you need to be performing tasks effectively, right? And using your work time efficiently as well, right? So there are things that you know are important. There are things that you know are urgent. Obviously, you're going to work with urgent things first, but knowing that almost everything else that you need to do is important. So get to work effectively. Get to manage your time efficiently, because then you gain this confidence from your stakeholders to say, we can entrust you with giving you more responsibilities in your tasks, right? Because of the way that you behave as a BA. You can manage, you're self-organizing, you can manage your time efficiently. Adaptability is a big thing. The environments are ever changing. The cheese is always moving, right? How do you get to be changing with the times, right? How do you get to adapt new methodologies, to adapt new approaches to the changes that are needed? Okay, it could be adapting to new information that you get, to new technologies that are there, to new learnings in the market or in the industry, or to new things that are happening within your organization. So how adaptable are you as a business analyst? All right. So ethics, personal accountability, trustworthiness, organizational and time management, and adaptability. Those are key behavioral competencies that you need to develop as a BA. Some of these you could already be doing them, but if there's any one of them that you are lacking in, you need to go and see how best can I adapt these. Okay. Then we move on to developing some interaction skills, right? Facilitation skills, because as business analysts, remember, we deal with stakeholders. And the moment you start dealing with more than one person, you need to have good facilitation skills. So interactions between your stakeholders. How do you get to help your stakeholders in decision-making, in solving a problem, in exchanging ideas and information? And have you built some facilitation skills around you, right? Things like if your stakeholders need help in making decisions or need help in solving problems, right? How do you get to help them in mind mapping, right? In brainstorming, right? Providing collaborative games so that your stakeholders can get to be creative. Okay, so facilitation skills is something that you need to develop as an interaction skill. Then there's leadership and influencing, right? Are you able to guide your stakeholders during the investigation and solution design process? Right? Remember, as a BA, if you want to be successful, you are not going to be there as a scribe. You are not there to be a minute taker. Okay. You need to be leading. You need to be influencing. Remember what we spoke about to say, what are the type of activities that BAs have? We spoke about driving change, devising strategies. That is done if you are in a leadership role, if you are in an influencing role, right? But at times you get to be given those leadership roles, those influencing roles, if you are personally accountable. Okay, so everything comes together, your behavioral skills, your interaction skills. So you need to be showing those leadership and influencing skills, right? Teamwork, are you able to work in a team? Because you deal with stakeholders. So even if you're working in a team, do you work productively with team members, with your stakeholders, with partners, right? You need to be a team player, because we win together, we lose together, but we have to be productive. And as a BA, you need to be showing your good stakeholder engagement and management skills, right? Negotiating and influence. are you able to facilitate mediation or negotiations amongst your stakeholders to reach certain consensus? Because take, for example, if you are working on an ERP system, right, it's going to touch a lot of stakeholders, a lot of business units, right? There's going to be a lot of conflicts to say, okay, what do we implement first? Do we first start with finance or do we start with HR? HR will tell you that, you know what, we need to go first because everyone is there to protect their own space, right? So as a BA now, you are there to be leading, to be influencing which direction we go. So you need to be able to facilitate those negotiations or to mediate in those negotiations. And what are the trade-offs that you can do? Do you have good negotiation skills? Do you have good conflict resolution skills? Those are skills, interaction skills that you need to be developing as a BA. And also, as business analysts, we go about, like we said, 3 things that we do with business analysis information. We go on a journey of discovery, we synthesize that information, and we get to analyze that information. All right. So in going into discovering all this information, you need to impart that information, right, into other stakeholders. There could be end users, there could be even your immediate senior stakeholders. All right. So how do you ensure that the information is well understood and is retained by stakeholders? Bearing in mind that teaching is an art. So you need to cultivate that art of teaching. So it's not only just about giving people information, but when you disseminate that information, are people able to recall it? Are people able to retain that information? So you need to develop that art of teaching. So facilitation skills, leadership and influencing, teamwork, negotiation and conflict resolution, and also teaching are good interaction skills that you need to develop as a BA. And the fourth one that we're going to talk about is somewhat strange to a whole lot of BAs, because asking BAs, what are the business analysis concepts, right? Or the core concept of business analysis. It can be a strange thing to quite a number of BAs. Trust me, I've asked this question before. But in the definition that we gave of what business analysis is about, we spoke about enabling changes, analyzing needs, right? Recommending solutions, providing value to our stakeholders in a given context. Do you see that all those highlighted words are actually what the core concept is about? So in the definition of business analysis, if there's anything that you need to understand or to take away from tonight, is understanding the business analysis core concept model. To say, what are the changes, what are the kind of changes we are doing in this space? What are the type of needs we are trying to satisfy as BAs, okay, in the organization? What are the solutions we are creating or changing, right? It could be a new solution, and I mean an old solution and moving to a new solution, right? Or it could be a greenfield solution that we need to strategize, devise on, and start creating. Okay, who are the stakeholders that are involved? Our stakeholder analysis. Do you have the stakeholder analysis skills? And do you get to understand your stakeholders, right? So, because missing stakeholders can be disastrous for us as BAs, and it will lessen our chances of success. What do stakeholders consider to be value? And this needs to be understood very well, because you may think you are being productive, you may think you are being effective, you may think you are being efficient as a BA. But if you are misaligned about value or what your stakeholders deem to be value, you could be delivering on the wrong thing. And definitely that is not success. Okay, and that does not lead to success. So get to make sure that we understand what our stakeholders deem or perceive to be value. What are the contexts that we're working in, right? By context, we mean scope. What is the context that we're working in? What is the solution scope that we're trying to solve for? So get to understand all those elements, the changes that we are doing, the needs we are trying to satisfy or resolve, all right, and the solutions that we're creating or changing, our stakeholders, what is value to them? And obviously, like we said, we don't solve all problems, but we work within a given context in resolving business analysis issues. So that's the business analysis core concept model that every BA should have at their core. All right. The next is learning BA technology tools, right? So if you've got office productivity tools and technology tools that you use for documenting, for tracking, for word processing, spreadsheets, for presentation, or even if they are collaborative or emailing tools, do you understand those things in their entirety? Do you understand the functionality that those tools give you and how your organization can actually leverage off the knowledge that you have in using those tools? Okay, especially when it comes to collaboration, right? It's very important when you do a presentation, how do you then get to collaborate with your stakeholders? Could be using tools like even in Jira. Are you able to collaborate using those tools? Are you able to collaborate using DevOps? Are you able to collaborate using Confluence, right? Get to understand how do you get all those tools to link to each other, right? So that when you make updates go across, be they spreadsheets, be they word processing, be they the presentations, okay? So that whatever collaboration there is, you constantly provide that alignment for your stakeholders without saying, okay, I think the Word document is updated, but the spreadsheet hasn't been updated as yet. Make sure that everything stays in sync. And as a BA, you need to be applying yourself to learning those tools, to mastering those tools, to use them to an advantage that benefits you, that benefits your stakeholders, that benefits your organization. Then there are business analysis tools and technologies, right? Tools that we use for modeling. It could be Draw.io, it could be Visio, it could be enterprise architecture, whatever tool, Bizagi and the like, whatever tool that you are using. Have you mastered those tools? Because at times you get people who get to use these tools, but they actually don't understand how these tools actually work, right? I'll give you an example. Working in an organization, a lot of BAs get into an organization and the first thing that you get told, okay, we document all our requirements on in Jira, right? If we do that in Jira, do you understand how to use Jira? Even your stakeholders that are in business, right, or end users who are not very much inclined to using such business analysis tools, how do you assist them in that respect? Okay, diagramming tools, documenting tools, analysis tools, tracing and storing tools. Okay, all those things need to be well understood by you as a BA because these are business analysis and technology tools, right? Communication tools and technology. Things like emails, right? How do you communicate with your stakeholders? Do you understand how you can leverage off these communication tools and how can you collaborate with your stakeholders using those communication and technology tools? So you see a whole lot of things that we have spoken about, we have touched on, center around collaborating with your stakeholders. In everything that we do, we need to collaborate with our stakeholders, right? And whatever tools that we choose to use, let's make sure that our stakeholders are well acquainted in using and applying those tools, because that will make us to be successful. And obviously, they will find value in what we do. Okay. So that was us talking about learning BA technology tools. The next thing that we need to understand is developing a business analysis mindset. It's very important to develop a mindset, creative thinking. How can you measure that? It's through your effectiveness in generating new ideas or in assisting your stakeholders in generating new ideas, new approaches, new alternatives, okay, to solving problems, to solving opportunities or challenges, right? How good are you at being creative, right? And as we highlighted earlier on to say, at times, your stakeholders might be blank. They might hit a brick wall. They're no longer creative. How do you get to energize them to be creative? Okay. because we need to be solving the problems that our businesses face. Right? Then there is decision making. Do you understand the criteria that is involved in your organization in decision making? And how do you get to assist your stakeholders in decision making? Obviously, for stakeholders to make decisions, they need to have enough information that informs them of what's the decision to make. Because remember, as a business analyst, you recommend solutions. We recommend solutions to our stakeholders. So in recommending solutions, we need to be providing our stakeholders with the right level of information, of detail, for them to make those informed decisions. Right? So how do you get to fish for that information, providing it to your stakeholders, right, so that they make those important decisions? Learning is a big thing as a BA. If you find yourself haven't learned anything in a quarter of a year, right, probably business analysis is not something that's cut out for you. Okay. Learning is very important because you need to quickly absorb new information. You need to find how do you get to modify and adapt to existing knowledge within your organization, right? There are different types of information that we go and get as business analysts. There are new technologies that are coming out every day. There are new methodologies that are coming out every day, new learnings, okay, new ways of work, right? Do we get to learn? Do we get to quickly absorb those as business analysts? And how do we take advantage or take leverage of the new learnings that we get so that we apply it to the current problems that we have as BAs in our organization in solving those very same problems that we have? And obviously problem solving is one of the biggest things that we do as BAs, because without problems, be they challenges or opportunities, our work doesn't exist, right? So when we get to problem solving, how do we get to define and solve problems so that we ensure that we get to the root cause, to the real cause of the problem? Because at times, what is deemed to be a problem is probably just a symptom of it, right? But do you get to the roots of it, to get to understand what is really causing the things that we say are problems? And in getting to the root cause of that, it gets us to understand as BAs to say, this is what the real problem really is. Okay, not the symptom of it, but understanding what is the real problem. Systems thinking is also something that as BAs we need to have. Do we have a holistic view, a complete picture of what we do as BAs? Do we, in our organizations, do we understand how people, how processes, how technology, how data comes together in our organization? So having that complete picture to say, if we restructure in an organization, how does that affect processes? If we change certain aspects of technology, right, how does that affect the data that we have in the organization? If there's certain data that we need, how do we get processes to enable us to get that data? It could be customer data, it could be product data. How do we enable our organizations to leverage off the systems that are there? That's people, that's processes, that's technology, that's data. Okay. Then conceptual thinking, right? There's a lot of abstract information that we get when we go on that journey of discovery. But as we get all that information, do we get to see the big picture, right? Which could be a bit blurred or convoluted because we've got a lot of information that we have found out on our journey of discovery. But we can't take all that confusion with us, all right, to our stakeholders. We need to be able to simplify it because it could be way too complex for them to understand. So that's why we need to synthesize data, to analyze data so that we provide data in whatever perspective that we can, whatever viewpoint that we can, to our stakeholders to say, okay, if you understand data from a process perspective, this is actually how the interactions happen. If you understand it from a data perspective, this is the type of data sets that we get, and this is where we're getting the data from. And this is how you need to understand it from data. Right? If it's technology, this is how the systems interact. Okay, so providing that more conceptual thinking to our stakeholders to simplify complexity is an art that we need to cultivate as BAs. Then there's visual thinking. So yeah, we get to sit in all these workshops. We get to speak to all these stakeholders, right? They communicate a whole lot of complex concepts to us, right? But we need to be able to take those words, put them in a picture. A picture says 1,000 words, right? Are we able to represent things pictorially in a picture to help your stakeholders to understand whatever concepts, whatever knowledge, whatever new learnings that we would have found out on our journey of discovery, right? So gaining those skills of modeling, of specifying models, right? Be it a context diagram that you need to provide, be it an activity diagram that you need to provide, data diagram that you need to provide, or it could be a business canvas model that you need to provide so that you put the picture out there for your stakeholders to see, to say, are we aligned? Are we talking about the same thing? Yes, we might be using words, but does this picture mirror what you are saying? Okay. So creative thinking, decision-making, learning, problem solving, systems thinking, conceptual thinking, and visual thinking. There is a lot of thinking that goes about as a business analyst, right? And as I said, from what you can see here, developing a business analyst mindset is different from someone who's just to sit there and be a scribe, taking notes of what stakeholders are saying. But you need to transform whatever information that you get as a BA. And by doing that, by applying all these, developing this business analysis mindset, those interaction skills, those behavioral skills, you get to be a trusted advisor by your business. You get to be that person that your business goes to say, if we need work to be done, Reggie is there to assist us. And we are going to be successful in whatever outcomes that we're going to be working on. Okay. So that is my part. I thank you very much for listening. I hope this is something that people can take to heart. Some of these practices, you could be doing them. If you are not, you can start learning to develop some of those practices. There's a lot of resources on the internet to that. But if you ever want to reach out to me, that's my contact number, and that's my, you can link up with me on LinkedIn, Reggie Musonza, and yeah, we can get to assist each other and see how best we can develop a business, practice business analyst to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reggie, for that. And we thank you so much for your time and being here to share this with us, to share this knowledge with us. And to everyone who'd like to maybe pull Reggie's quote and get extra bits of nuggets of wisdom, I'd like to open the floor for that.
I'm not sure if are there any questions coming? Yeah, or even comments or suggestions. Yeah.
Otherwise, your presentation was that good.
Okay, there's a hand raised. There is a.
I'm trying to see whether it's typo because I don't see anything from a question.
Is Amelia Forbes?
Okay, Amelia. Oh, there. All right, Amelia. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi. You can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Reggie, for this presentation. I'm new in the field, so I found this extraordinarily helpful because when I changed my career quite late in life, And everyone that I spoke to said, don't worry about the technical stuff, because I didn't study IT for 4 years like everybody else did. And so when I began my journey, I just went to FTI and I studied business analysis there, and I leveraged off my peers as well. So I kept asking people, what would you recommend I study to strengthen my technical skills? Because I like the fact that you added, we need to be strong in visualizing things, solutions to our stakeholders, be it a context diagram or whatnot. Now, I understand the business side of things. I understand, the layman's terms. Let's talk about this and let's use logic to put it all together. But I struggle with the technical side. And I find that I realize, or I understand that people say you don't need to be strong technically, you can still be a good BA. However, I think our role is becoming more technical. And in order to be more credible with your team, your IT team, your Scrum team, it would add value if you had that kind of background. So in the evenings, I do some Udemy courses here and there. So without going to do a full 3-year or 4-year qualification in IT, what would you recommend me studying as a business analyst who has a lot of industry knowledge, but not necessarily technical knowledge? Where would you advise I start that journey? I'll leave it there for now. Thanks.
Thanks, Emilia. I like your question. I like your question because, and I'm gonna answer it in a different way and say, if we look at where we are in the stream of time, right? A lot of organizations are going through digital transformation. And digital transformation simply means leveraging off technology, leveraging off platforms to scale business, okay, to change the way business interacts. And the moment you're using platforms, you're using technology, those are already technical things. So as a BA, you're working with a technical team. Do you get to understand, right, technical things? Because you get to frustrate your developers if you're working with developers, if you don't understand what an API is, what an API call is, what a microservice is, okay? Web services, do you get to understand that, right? We work with a lot of data, okay? How are your SQL skills, right? Are you able to manipulate data? Okay, are you able to extract it? Are you able to transform it? Are you able to load that data? So those are very technical skills that every BA needs to be harnessing, needs to be developing, needs to be nurturing. Okay, because to your point, Emilia, doing those Udemy courses, there's a lot of free resources that are there on the internet. I always say to people, you can never make an excuse as to why you don't know something. You can never make an excuse to why you don't know something. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, right? And she knows how to Google. So does everyone here know how to Google and get to learn those technical skills, because in the time that we are in, those skills are very relevant. Otherwise, you find yourself as a dinosaur out there in the market, because not everything is just going to be about doing a BRIS. I don't know if people still do those things, right? Or doing a functional spec, right? It's also about understanding the technologies, even when you're collaborating with your developers, when they are talking about APIs, about calls, about microservices. Don't look blank. Contribute something. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Reggie. I agree with you 100%. I think the question was more, where would you recommend I start learning those things? Because so I'll pick up articles here and there, and I'll learn the differences between an API and a webhook, for example. But I mean, for something more tangible that I can use practically, what would you recommend I look into?
I think maybe that we could possibly take offline, but from what I say, it also depends with the type of environment that you work on. If you work in, let's say you're using certain technologies, Microsoft services and all that, yes, you could possibly start off by Microsoft certifications, and they are available online, okay? Or if you are working in a Salesforce environment, it could be Salesforce, you just go and look for Salesforce courses that you can do. Or if you're doing some RPA stuff, right? Robotic stuff, there's a lot of robotics certifications that you can actually get out there. And to my knowledge, and something that I always do, certifications work a great deal in addressing some of these technical challenges that we have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That does answer my question. Thanks, Reggie.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for that question, Amelia. And the next question, Reggie, is from Victoria M. Victoria says, what is your view on BAs being expected to be testers, BI analysts, and systems analysts in one? She says she sees that the industry is moving towards that direction.
Yeah. So what you are talking about, you said who posed that question?
Victoria M.
Oh, Victoria M. Right. So what you are talking about, Victoria, yes, it's very understandable. So getting to be that systems analyst, it's you being technical as a BA, which is something that I've already alluded to when I was answering Amelia's question. All right. Being a tester, you at least need to have a knowledge of testing as a BA, right? Because remember, you document requirements or you elicit those requirements, you understand them, right? Are you able to test that the requirement has been achieved? Are you able to test that the requirement has been satisfied, right? You need to get to understand your requirements. And testing is a very good way of understanding requirements. And remember also, if you are working in a, let's say in an adaptable team, in an agile team, okay, your role is also, it should be T-shaped, right? So that's you getting to have that deep understanding of analysis. But how do you get to assist your colleagues in testing? Okay, you need to have that knowledge of testing. So you are actually in good stead if you have an exposure to all those things, because your role needs to be adaptable. We spoke about adaptability in one of the behavioral competencies. Be adaptable. So if you get into a role that requires you to be technical, which every role should require you to be technical, okay, in my opinion. But at the same time, be able to assist in the testing. It actually puts you in good stead as you develop your career.
All right, thank you, Reggie. And we have another question from Susan. On business acumen, you mentioned that it is very important to know your industry. Is it then easy for one to be a BA in one industry and be able to work in another industry?
Okay, I will answer the question in the way that that I understand it, Susan. So I've worked in financial services industry, right? I understand financial services, right? But I left financial services to go and work in the telematics industry. I had to understand the telematics industry, right? What governs the telematics industry? Who are the competitors in that industry? Okay, so whatever industry, if you decide to change industries, don't just change and just be there to be a BA who just does what's required. Show the contribution that you can make by showing that you understand the industry. Immerse yourself. That's one word I always say. Immerse yourself in that industry that you're working in. Get to understand the intricacies, the ins and outs of that industry, right? So that when you contribute with your stakeholders, you're speaking with your executives and the like, when they mention something, they already know that, you know what, we are speaking with someone who is actually knowledgeable. So yes, get to understand whatever industry that you are in, get to understand the intricacies of that industry. But what helps you a great deal as a BA is leveraging of business analysis principles, okay, business analysis practices, because those can be applied across any industry. But when it comes to an industry, get to understand your industry. I hope that answers the question. Okay, thanks, Nyasha.
All right, thank you, Reggie. I think that is it for today. If there are any more questions, please forward them to our email and we shall respond to them promptly. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great evening further.
Good night.